Wow. Now that sounds good. Rachel and Jesse, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having us.
yeah, thank you for coming here. It's absolutely fabulous of you coming to visit us here at Countryland in the studio in Putten. You've been touring a bit through the Netherlands, and we were just talking just before you started singing here that you're having a good time in the Netherlands.
We are. We are having a good time.
Yeah, you've been visiting a few radio programs. You've done some shows, some performances.
Yeah, we have. We've been all over. Every time we tell everyone where we're going next, they're like, oh, it's so far, but we don't think it's very far. In the U.S., it's long distances.
It is. Yeah, I know. I've been there too, and I know. I'd like to talk to you both about you are both singer-songwriters, but also doing some other things in the business. And when I look at your bios, I see two more or less similar paths geographically, and somewhere these paths crossed. So we'll talk about that. But both of you started out being influenced and growing up with music from childhood. How was that for you, Rachel?
Yeah, music was always something. My mom said I was just singing from, like from the time that I could talk, and I, she said I would just immediately memorize whole songs, and I knew every James Taylor song, and I was always really drawn to music. I didn't really understand that it was something you could do, like as a job. I thought it was just something that kind of came out of you naturally, and that everyone did, and so. When I started getting older, I just would sing wherever they'd let me. I would sing in church and, at little county fairs and little, anywhere they'd let me. So my mom would always go and play piano for me, and so it was always something that they encouraged. So.
Okay, and that is you were growing up in Oklahoma.
Yes.
I read.
Yep.
Then at some point, growing up as a teenager, you were doing more and more, I imagine. And then this urge was growing to really go and do something with it. And you made the decision to go to Nashville.
Yep.
When, what I read, you were still quite young.
I was 18, yeah. I think I don't know, maybe my parents thought music was like, okay, like she'll get it out of her system, and then maybe she'll go to college and do something a little bit more practical. Yeah. But I didn't grow out of it, so I just kept doing it, and I think at some point you get to if I'm gonna do this, I have to just jump and go somewhere that I have more opportunities, and Nashville was where all of my idols were at or from or had time that they'd spent there, and that was like where I thought you needed to be to make it happen. So I just one day, I think I always thought I'd go there, and then one day I just got so tired of waiting and thinking, okay, maybe in a year and I'll save, and then one day I was like, I can't wait anymore. I just have to be there. And so I literally just packed everything I owned in my car and just drove there. I didn't know anyone. I had never visited. And I just showed up there, and it was one of those situations. I've probably had a lot of those in my life that could have gone really badly, but I think I'm just really lucky because everything ended up being okay and kind of landed on my feet. But yeah, and some of them, one of the first people that I met in Nashville then introduced me to Jesse, like almost 10 years later, or something like that. So
that was still in Nashville.
Yeah,
okay.
In Nashville.
Yeah. So as an 18-year-old girl, you went there by yourself. Your parents let you go?
Well, I think if you ask my parents, they tell you can't really let me do anything. Like they just kind of check on. They're like, okay, you all right? But they know once I get, my heart set on something that nothing's gonna stop me. So just left. Yeah.
No. Okay. Let's pick it up with Jesse. You also started out in Oklahoma. So you started playing guitar when you were about 10 years old.
Correct.
And you had some influence from within the family, and of course we cannot omit the fact that your uncle, the famous Jimmy LaFave,
correct,
was an influence. But how much did he personally affect your interest in music?
Quite a bit. I kind of always had a knack for music, and in our house we listened to it a lot, obviously. And then he gave me a guitar when I was 10, and then once I had the guitar, I was on my way. I learned it pretty quick. My dad also plays, Jimmy's brother, so I learned the chords. And then Jimmy would give me more instruments every year, a PA system one year, or an electric guitar the next year. So once I got to be about 18, I was pretty decent, and I had a lot of good equipment, so I just started playing in bands, and then I moved to Nashville when I was 23, so I didn't really live in the same city as Jimmy, but I always knew what he was doing, and he knew what I was doing.
Yeah, no, because you were in Oklahoma. He was in Austin, Texas.
Correct. Yeah. We live in Austin now the last 4 years, so we were around Jimmy every day, but for a lot of years I would only see him 2 or 3 times a year at Christmas, but I went to his shows when he was in Nashville or wherever, so we were very close.
Okay.
But yeah, he kind of showed me that you could, like she said, music was something you could actually do as a job and make money at, and it's also fun, and you travel, and that lifestyle just kind of gets you in, and it's hard to get out of.
Okay. now, yeah, you can do it as a job, like you say. I think if you would take any people on earth who have the dream to pursue a career in music,
right,
and decide to go to Nashville, and they all go, I don't think they can handle it.
A lot of people go and stay for 1 year, and then they leave.
And then they leave again.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. But what made you stick to it, Rachel?
I think there have been times in my life where, because most of us that are in music are kind of sensitive, and it can be a business that you need thick skin, and I don't really have that thick of skin, and so it can break your heart sometimes, and it can make you feel like you're on top of the world, and it can make you feel like, oh my gosh, I cannot possibly have one more person tell me no, cannot have one more person tell me, oh, we're just not looking for this right now, or whatever it is, it just feels the rejection of what you're doing feels very personal. It's not something you can separate from, who you are. And, I think at some point, you just turn yourself over to the ride, and you just assume, okay, well, this is going to have ups and downs, but either way, I'm going to ride that out. And if you're incredibly lucky, then you end up in a relationship with someone who understands that, and someone who supports that. But it can be hard. It can be hard to, it can be hard on you, and it can be hard on the people that you love. And I think at some point, you're just like Jesse said, you just keep getting pulled back in. And I think I tried to do other things a couple times, and finally I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this. Like, I'm going to stop pretending that this isn't what I'm meant to do. And everyone around me was like, thank goodness. Like, and I'd be like, I think I'm going to try this for a while. And they're like, okay, and then they're like, yeah, this is your destiny. Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So everyone close to me knew it before me, I think.
It's the love for the music and keeping the dream big, I guess.
Yeah, you just gotta, you put up with the rest. And the music, I always feel like it was like this little bubble you kind of wrap yourself in to remind yourself of why you do it and the good in it. So the business and all that, you're like, all right, whatever. It's the price you pay. I mean, I
see. Did you feel the same sensitivity that Rachel was talking about?
As far as
just that it can be hard, and
oh gosh,
break your heart.
No,
sometimes.
That's breaking. It will break your heart, but you always. It's almost like a drug or something. I've never done drugs, but it's like it hooks you, and you can't get out. You just need it.
Yeah.
And you feel good when you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know drugs, but you know what an addiction is now.
Right. It is.
Okay.
It is.
You're always chasing that high.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay.